What's good, everybody? It's Ron from Crush Audio. We're in week 3 of the Hustle and Grow Producer Challenge. Tonight, it's all about the melody. We're going to get it started right now.
This is a Crush Audio production.
Welcome. Happy Friday. Hustle and Grow Producer Challenge. What's good, everybody? My name is Ron. I am Crush Audio. I'm Grammy-nominated producer and engineer. And this show is all about you guys and us coming to some creative understanding together. And that's what I love about it. You know, tonight we're going to talk about something really important, which is getting songs started. And wanted to pose a question to everybody and say hello. What's good? How we doing? How was everybody's week? I want to make sure I say hello to everybody that comes through the chat. Make sure you say hi. I want to shout out a few people from last week. I want to shout out Navi and Derek Wayne and Robbie Cash and my buddy Mike Shimshak and Brent Shuttleworth and my goodness, a bunch of people contacted me. My man CODMG, the whole crew. I'm part of that crew as well. King Doe, everybody up in Louisville. What's good, everybody, and welcome. For some reason, you're catching us on YouTube if you're checked into this. Hey, what's good, man? How are you? Gonna have to pop the replay. Yep, I get it. It's Friday night. I expected that from some people last week, because of Valentine's Day and all that stuff. So, behind the scenes here, I am going to open up my DAW, but really just wanted to get the conversation started. I listened to some beats last week. I was doing my part as far as the challenge is concerned. For those of you, what's good, Nate? How's everybody doing? I'll join you in here as we go and show everybody in the chat. I'm glad everybody is stopping by. It helps. I try and do these in little portions because the more chats I actually do and we have in here, if it sounds weird, but it actually goes. Now, Facebook carries my post in this thing, but I get a notification saying it's not live. For some reason, it is cutting off on Facebook. Get over to what's good, man? What's good, Jeff? Jeff Doherty, everybody. We talked about him last week and introduced him to the group. What's good? Robbie Cash is in the house. What's good, Robbie? How's it going, man? Anyway, for some reason, Facebook is bumping it off of there, and I'm not quite sure why. But it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. Yes, without Crush Audio. Make sure you guys are still getting me. I think that's a notification about Facebook, but make sure nothing cut off or anything. Just send me a message and let me know. Let me know we are still rolling on YouTube. I'm not quite sure what's good. We're good on YouTube. Okay. All right, cool. So, been advertising it all week. Let's talk about, let's get into, first of all, last week, we talked about sampling. I actually heard some beats some people sent me over the course of the week and where they incorporated sampling. I want to shout out Robbie Cash. sent me something that was really cool. I'm going to play something for the group at some point here in the broadcast, and we're going to check that out as well and see how he incorporated sampling into his beat and just everything overall in general. See how it translates here and what everybody's thinking. And we want to be constructive criticism, obviously, but yeah, for sure. I want to check that out. And then I want to give you a taste of, I want to learn how you guys start beats. And I want to give you my philosophy on that as far as, a few different ways of getting that started and getting that process moving. So that's basically what's on the docket. I am curious as to how do you or a song. So the questions are, how do you get beats started, or a song? If you're a songwriter, what's your process? If you're a lyricist, let us know how you prefer to create. How about that? All right. So those are some questions for you to think over and to pop on and give us your opinion about. I'll give you the answers from me to some of these questions. So, first of all, how do you get beats started? For me personally, most of it's like a half and half thing. Sometimes it's, quite frankly, like a machine kit, right? Like this thing right here. I'll go to the machine and I'll start going through all kind of different kits and actually sort of just pick what I want, right? So I'll just go in there and I'll start picking through different kits, and all these kits in Machine, they're unique in the sense that they have all the drums that you're going to want, but they also have some melodic options in these kits that give you an idea. And I'm going to give you some examples here inside the DAW. But they have kits that are put together with melodic instruments as well. And oftentimes those things are already all tuned to each other. So whatever little chops and sampling and creative ideas you could come with inside the DAW, inside of that kit, you can play it. It's all there with you for you within these 16 pads, right? So that's pretty dope. And that's one way of creating. And so I'll probably start with the drums or some sort of rhythmic element and then incorporate the melody as I go in those situations. In other situations, I will start over at the piano, and I'll do like I'll do something like go on the piano and just start with an acoustic piano or a Fender Rhodes or something like that, and I'll bang out a chord progression. I'm give you some examples of that. And we're going to talk about some chords and some chord progressions for the more advanced group that you may want to think about. For instance, I'll give you an example. If you're somebody that plays and you're, let's say, at an intermediate or advanced level, and you know something about music theory, or you've been writing music for a long time, and you sort of know your way around at least a few scales, let's say. I'm going to give you some ideas to think about that are some juicier notes to play other than just the root, the third, and the fifth. And some voice leading that works to your advantage to make it sound even slicker. And some things that aren't always written but are cool to do. For the beginning group, we're going to talk for the beginning and intermediate group, just getting started, we're going to talk about, like, if you don't have the music theory knowledge, what is your ear like? That's my first question. Because, like, are you able to identify and put loops that are in the same key together so they work together? We're going to have a lesson on that later on in the curriculum. So those are a couple of the ways I get started. So for a beat, now if you're a songwriter, I'm reading Jeff's comment. If you're a songwriter, I'm curious as to what that process is. And like I said, if you're a lyricist, let us know what you do there. Just total one beat. He had no idea. He started sampling vinyl on MPC, but was overwhelmed. Couldn't find inspiration that way. Yeah. The thing is, like, if we don't have a handle, like, I know what Jeff's situation is in the sense that like the software that he's being exposed to is new. It's like you buy a new Machine Studio, or you buy an Akai MPC, or you buy a MIDI controller of some sort, and when you buy the MIDI controller, you basically are, having to learn the idiosyncrasies of that controller and whatever sounds it comes with, all the other shit that you have to deal with in that ecosystem. And then you got to make sure that it plays nice in this world right here, right? Because oftentimes these things, like Machine right here, Machine is working as a plugin inside of Ableton Live, right? Yes, all the other shit. Classic quote, right? So just to give you an example here, here we are. We're here. I popped open Machine, and if you have Machine and you're wondering how you can manipulate it, if you're old like me and you want to be able to see, you can go in here, this little arrow, we click down to view, and we go to large. Now we have a bigger representation of our GUI, of our user interface, and everybody understands a GUI, right? It's a user interface, right? Isn't it a graphic user interface? Check me on that if I'm right or wrong, but I believe I'm right. So anyway, right now this is in one shots, as you can see. If I go over here to groups, I have something called kits. And if I click on kits, it's now filtered down to all the kits I have available to me on Machine. And yes, I have a lot of stock kits. But a better way to group that is by what their genre is. And these are examples of different kits that I have. And when I click it, it will bring me up the menu for that particular kit. But just to go to my example about getting started and starting from either the drums or from melody, here's an example. Like this is off the rip. Well, all right, these are all cool, right? All the examples they give us are cool. There you go. This is a good example. Okay, so let's take a look at Machine, right? All right, so we're over here. I'm just going to show you. My machine's acting weird. It's got to boot up here real quick. For some reason, it's not coming. Something's acting weird with my stuff. Some of my stuff is acting a little bit funky, and I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, it sort of hurts me to be able to I'm trying to go in here and troubleshoot it as we sit here. So let's try this. We're troubleshooting live. And, this is a good lesson. Shit like this happens. Right now, I'm deleting machine. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to find it. It's going to be on, it's going to be on Native Instruments, machine. Here's a quick shortcut in Ableton, and in most DAWs, you'll have a search menu. We have this in Pro Tools as well. You can vastly speed up your workflow if you know what you're looking for. Like if I know the name of that is machine and I'm somewhere here in the menu and I don't have anything up here, if I just type in MASCH, all of a sudden it starts narrowing down and now I've got it. So I don't have to scroll through countless things. And yeah, something's going on with my USB controller. That's what it must be. Okay. Well, at least I know that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring in another session, and we'll see how that thing's working. Worst case scenario, I'll show you just directly from the piano, but this is something that I was working on this week for my assignments for our group. And one of the beats that I was working on. And right before we get to this, what I am going to do is I'm going to take just a little pause and I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to hear my man who was brave enough to bring in and send me a beat. As well as, and Jeff sent me something as well, and like he said, he's not joking. That's literally probably the first thing that he's worked on, and quite frankly, that was impressive considering that's the first thing you've worked on. I can't even remember back to when I had that going on. Like when I first started, I couldn't play "Mary Had a Little Lamb" on the piano. That's no bullshit. So here, check this out. This is called Something You Want. We're going to give it a little listen. Not the whole thing. I'm not going to play it and shove the whole beat down your throat. We're going to listen to the intro and the beginning and let it get into some movement so that we can have an opinion on it. And I'm going to troubleshoot this USB while we're doing that. So here we go. Shout out to Robbie Cash, producer in the group and super talented cat, as you will hear.
Robbie cashed out.
subscribe on the YouTube channel. It's dope. Isn't it nice? Yep. Awesome, man. That's what I'm nice. I love that. The ambient vibe is one of the things that I truth be told, I've been hearing some of Robbie's music, and he does that really, really well. And, just a perfect attitude and mentality for this group, as everybody has that I've seen come through here. All of you guys and gals that come through this group and who have contacted either via the Hustle and Grow group on Facebook or just reached out to me personally, everybody's interested in trying to get better. So no matter how they can do that, they tap in, they check in, and they keep working behind the scenes regardless of whatever the rest of us are doing. And then, it's nice for us to be able to congregate and sort of talk about stuff. Again, let me remind you that in the open chat, anything is on the table as far as audio or, anything that you have questions about with regard to something you may have struggled with or you have a question about in the music industry. Make sure you reach out and ask that question. If you're not comfortable putting that in the group chat, you can always reach out to me directly. I'm happy to talk to you, and sort of an open book in that regard. So it's an open Q&A thing. Open Q&A, guys. So just wanted to let you know that. Okay, so let's get back to, I pulled up, Robbie, that ambient vibe is super dope. My evaluation of that would be, I don't have much bad to say. I like the balances. I like the ambient vibe. I like what you did with the chops, with the vocal. I like that there's some movement in there. I most like the balance between the kick and the low end and the ambience. You know what I mean? There's a nice match there between something that's driving and moving and something that's floating and airy. So kudos to you, man. That's super dope, and that's really cool. Keep going, and hopefully continue stacking your talents along with some ideas and inspiration that you receive from here or the group, and keep on building on that. And that's for everybody that listens to this. So, all right, back to the screen share. Here we go. All right. I'm going to play just a touch of this, and then we'll break down what's going on. And I've purposely not added a few things. I've purposely not added some of the lead parts because I wanted to talk about melody and starting from the beginning, but I did my assignment too, everybody, and I chopped up some samples here. As you can see, there's a guitar sample that I converted to MIDI, from MIDI to audio. I was using a sampler there. I was using a sampler here with the contact instrument. Ooh, that's a great question. I'm going to put it up. Jeff wants to know, how'd you start? Like first spark, what's your first idea? What were you maybe what you started with? How did that play out? Did something dictate the tempo, the BPM? That's a great question. I'm reading some of the comments here. Okay. So here we go. I can, okay. Started with chords and a bass line, developed rhythm after that, and then layered melodic elements. Vocal sample chops were the very last thing I added. I can echo that. You know, I usually am not starting with a vocal chop that's like the driving element of something. Maybe that's going to add to the rhythm or the groove or the overall texture of whatever it is I'm building. So in that regard, that's super cool. And I'm glad you guys are able to have a dialogue outside here. It's just a super cool to hear how different people are approaching. Start with cowbell. You never have enough cowbell, man. Never enough cowbell. Okay, so here we go. The other thing is this melodic bounce. This is a chop from Serato sample. So these three elements were chops. I left some MIDI in here, right? And so a little bounce.
Yo, Crush, drop that shit. Drop that shit. Yo, Crush, drop that shit.
All right. So, it's repetitive, right? Sort of most of them are. So what do we do? All right. Here's what we started with. Let's just do these three. All right. So this is your bass line, the guitar sample, and the melodic loop, as it's called here in the track. Okay? Stay on the groove. Thank you. Appreciate it. Maybe we'll add some cowbell to this thing. Okay, so that's just a repetitive element that's going on. Now, I purposely left some things out, right? But there are a lot of things we can do to make this more interesting. I'm going to get into that now. Okay, so that's going to be the overall groove. I know I started with this, and I knew it was just a real simple drum pattern that I started with. So the drum pattern was probably more along the lines of like, let's see, like this. Right? Very, very basic. And alone sounds cheesy. Now you add a little bit more bounce with an open hi-hat. You add a crash cymbal. There's our drum groove. But then you add the bass. You add some guitar. We don't have any effects on that guitar. That's one way we're going to improve the groove. We need some sort of connecting tissue there, right? You add the melodic hook. And this is a sample, that I just flipped around and ended up with this repetitive pattern. So we could do something there. But what about a lead instrument? What if we... Let's take this. Let's get rid of it. And this is what we were doing earlier. Oh, that's crazy.
Drop that shit.
Crazy. My stream deck went on me too, so that's why I'm doing some of these crazy looks.
Yo, Crush, drop that shit.
Like, look at this shit. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, just to show you and give you an idea, like, what if we added a different texture here? So what if we added, like, a guitar, for instance? Love that sound. All right, so, I know a little something about music, so I can improvise over this section and just keep on trying out different melodies. This would be my particular process. I'd literally would loop this, okay? I'll take this and I'd loop it. Okay. And in Ableton, you just hit Command L and it loops, right? And I'd take this loop and I would keep on recording takes and with different melodic ideas until I had what I wanted. So just an example here. Here we go. Right? So I like that last thing I got into. So maybe I would start repeating that. Right? That one. There. That one. So from a melodic perspective, I'm just trying to hear something that plays against what the texture is on top. Now, as producers, we got to be careful because we don't know what the artist is going to want. That's why I would prefer to have an artist in the room when I'm doing a track build and doing a co-write. Sort of why we call them, or why I coined it, I guess, a modern co-write, right? Because I have all these tools at my disposal. I could create whatever kind of palette you want or whatever kind of texture you want. but we have to know where we have to have some common ground on what's the instrument choice going to be. Do I want this to be dirty? There's a version of this where I don't have an electric guitar here, where I have something else, right? Another sound. I'm looking here to see if I have anything else. Here, for instance, I'm going to pull up something super opposite to that. There you go. Let's go basic gospel, right? So now, instead of it being a guitar sound, it could be And so maybe I come up with a line there that works with a lead like organ sound. Or maybe it's something, maybe it's a different patch, maybe it goes somewhere totally different from there. I don't know. But those are the kind of choices that you get to make when you have like a group. Well, thank you. When you have like some group input. So would always advise trying to be in a room with the creatives who are making the music. You know, it's why singer-songwriter works so well, and why songwriters often play an instrument, because they can create and they have the melody, the harmony, and the instrumentation right there. You know what I mean? So let's pull up, save that. We're going to pull up something different. And we're just going to pull up a piano. Okay. All right. So, probably the best way to do it is just to sit here and play and show you what I'm talking about and let you hear what I'm talking about. We should be able to hear that, right? So, if we're just in, let's say we're in, somebody yell a key out over there. I don't care what it is. You can pick whatever you want. Let's say it's F sharp minor. All right? If we're in F sharp minor, that's you just wrote that. Okay, so I told you, I promised I'd give you some extensions and some things to think about for the advanced crew. So here we go. Voice leading, first of all. Okay, so F sharp minor is F sharp, A, and C sharp. That's me just playing those notes, regular triad. Right? Now we have inversions of those chords. This is some beginners and intermediates may not understand this, but most everybody else should. And that inversion means I could take that F sharp, A, and C sharp, and I could start with the second note of that chord and then build the chord. So it would be A, C sharp, F sharp now is on the top, not on the bottom. So it sounds like this. Right? All I did was moving around inversions. So if I think about that in hip hop music, I'm thinking about moving around from this chord to the major 6 from F sharp, which is D. And then going to the 5 chord. And so I'm using voice leading even there. I'm going from F sharp minor, then I'm going to D major, but I'm using the first inversion of that chord so that I could keep and go from here to here, right? So I keep these notes the same, and all I move is the root note to here, and I move this top note, goes up a half step, so it stays consistent. So, right? That sounds a lot better than, right? If I have to go and build the triad there, that's what's happening. I hope you guys are getting something. My camera is not set up to really, necessarily catch this, especially with 2 of them being out. Apologize for that. So, F sharp minor, let's talk further. That's F sharp minor, making sure that F sharp has a minor 6 in it. So we're thinking about F sharp in the key of maybe the key of D, maybe? Or maybe we're thinking of F sharp minor like a melodic minor, which is more oriental, because we have that major 7 in there. So that changes the way we can play around with different chord sets. It all depends on how I want to approach where F sharp is. Is it the root note, or is it the 3rd in the key of D? Because if it is, then I can go up right? I started here, same chord, but vastly different sound than me going right? Okay? So I have to determine, and now we're going deeper into theory. If you understand this, then great. But so I got to determine what I want to use. But for basics, I would say 1 to the flat 6 to the 5. Back to 1. 1, flat 6, 5, 1. So you got home bass, big time tension, wants to go somewhere here, still wants to go home too, right? So those 3, it's the basis of right? But if I think of F sharp like the second note in a scale, it may be the key of E, which is and if I'm thinking of it in the key of E, I can do stuff like okay? I can use what if I determine what scale degree F sharp really is and what F minor really is. This is still F minor, but it goes a completely different place because I understand the theory to make it move where I want it to move. You know, we can also go into substitutions, right? You know, where it's like maybe this is the 3 chord. Right. Whoa. I don't know what that was. That was weird. Anyway, it all depends on what you determine that to be. But let's go into something a little more simple. And that is, like, what are some basic things you can do for just regular chords? Like, hey, Ron, I don't know anything, but I know that I could play this on the piano. What can I do to make it cooler? Right? I hear people doing stuff and it sounds cooler than that. Well, you can just go every other white note, and the further you go, at least for a couple of them, we all know that. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Right? Do, mi, sa, ti. Re. Right? So now, instead of having, I've got so if I just took a 1-4-5 progression and just added the extension of the chord of the root note, C, I'm playing C, E, G, B, and D. Okay? If I took that and then went to 4, and then to 5, listen how pretty. That's pretty. All I did was extended the chord by 2 notes. So it's C, E, G. I played the next 2 white notes. Then I went up 4. And I played that. And then I went up another note to G and played. Okay, so that's one way of beefing them up, right? And that's a 1-4-5 chord progression. And that's something that you should get familiar with in every single key. You know, that's where the blues stuff comes from 1 to 4 to 1. Right? You know, and then we go up to 5. And I'm not a piano player. I'm just a wannabe piano player. But it doesn't matter. As far as banging out the chords, those are the chords, you know. And if you know what scale or what your key is that you're playing in, this is C. I know that my first note is C. And if I count up C, D, E, F, that's my fourth note. So that's where the 1, 4, and then I go up one more to 5. That's where a 1, 4, 5 progression comes from. And there can be a lot of different variations off of that. You could start on the 5 chord. Right? And I'm just going. So it was 5 to 4 to 1. So I just reversed the order. Maybe I split the difference in the order and start on the 4 chord. Right? So I'm just choosing to work every particular angle that I possibly can out of those chords and get whatever I possibly can out of them. As far as different combinations, when you incorporate the 6 chord and that oftentimes serves as a departure point if you're in a major key. So, just for an example, like we were in C, we'll go to 4. 5. Instead of going back to 1. See how that went somewhere different? That's just going up instead of going back to 1. So I went 1, 4, 5, 6. And if you start incorporating the 6 chord, that's the minor. Happens to be A minor in the key of C. Now I can start playing all these different minor chord progressions too. That's a chromatic step right there. You know, there's a whole song right there. There are a bunch of songs that just do that. They just go 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4. So my suggestion to you would be, if you just heard something that you're not familiar with, try and make something this week that is incorporating some sort of new chord progression. If you're a beginner and you don't know anything about chord progressions and you're strictly using your ear, then my suggestion would be to start researching and YouTubing things about chord sets, things in your MIDI controller. And if you don't have a MIDI controller, that's something you may want to invest in. That's definitely going to be a good purchase for you if you're somebody that wants to do programming, especially if you have some sort of keyboard skills. Even if you have limited, it will help you in playing drums and programming drums in on stuff like the machine, and it will help you playing melodic ideas on your keyboard. You know, the only other thing we didn't talk about is that sometimes songs come from melody and just melodic ideas. So, quick example. You know, we've been in the key of C, right? Maybe I just was humming something like, now, maybe that ends up becoming a melody. Sorry. Maybe that ends up becoming a melody. And I'd keep on playing around. Or if I'm in the hip hop world, I'd be leaning on the 1, 5, minor, 6. You know? And, you know, the more you can learn those in every key, if you know one of them, just take everything up a half step. And so on and so forth. Right? So, start playing around with those kind of melodic ideas. See what you could come up with in your beats. Shout out to Robbie Cash this week. Shout out to Nate, Jeff, and everybody else that's listening that hasn't commented. I appreciate you checking in. Make sure you're always welcome to send any messages now or after you see this on replay. And I'm writing that down right now. Feel free to comment and support our group. I want to encourage you guys to network with each other. I want to encourage you to turn in your music. And no matter what level you're at, there is no embarrassment. I can attest to the level of musicianship in the group. So, you know, whatever we're doing, we're trying out new ideas and we're trying to add something to our toolbox if we're not accustomed to track building or to any kind of modern production. So think about adding that stuff to your workflow. Another great session. You're inspired. Thank you, man. That's amazing. I want to share that with the group. I'm glad you are. Hope it was inspirational. You know, like, and I know somebody like Jeff, you know, you start hearing stuff like that. I wish we had like video too, you know, and I know Ecamm will connect with Zoom and stuff like that, but they try and charge like something crazy a month. I don't know if I can get them to, I don't know. I don't know if there's a different level that I can get at it or whatever, but we'll figure that out. But I'm glad it's inspirational, and you know, try out some of those different ideas as far as chord progressions. For people who are advanced, you know, start going back into the original meaning of music and where it came from, which is the blues, and, you know, just sort of really wear that out. And then if you really feel like you've already wore that out, then start going outside and or making those forms work for you in other ways, meaning substitutions, you know. For instance, here's one other thing to think about. You know, like if I have a regular 2-5-1 progression, let's say, which is I'm in the key of C, 5-1, right? Now, maybe instead of going to the 5, maybe I just want to walk down chromatically. So it's right? Maybe when I get to the 5 chord, instead of going back to the 1, I go to the 3 chord and do what we call a turnaround, 3-6-2-5. So right? Just walking down chromatically. You know, think about chromatic entries into chords, like, you know, giving you some stuff to think about. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I always appreciate stopping by and chatting with everyone for a little bit. So until next time, love you, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace, everybody. See you next week. Appreciate that, bro. Hell yeah. I'll catch you next time, guys.